All right, so next comes what we call our toolbox, our specialist toolbox. And what that means is that there are literally thousands of pre-coded, and we call it libraries, pre-coded code that you can use in your own applications. So, for example, GSAP is a library that allows all this movement of cards and making things look interactive on a web page. You can try and write it all yourself, and it's going to take you forever. GSAP is there. It's a library with thousands of lines of code that you can just import into your code. So don't build, import. GSAP is, for instance, one of those things. We mentioned it, and you can simply say import GSAP from GSAP. So this will be a link to some place where that whole program will be imported into your code for you. And GSAP.2 will say .box x100, something like that. That's all that you need to type in if you understand the GSAP library. So each library you need to understand how to use it. Again, that's something for programmers that still want to sit and do this themselves manually. You will just say use GSAP from now on, and then say make this card move, make this card have a glow effect if you hover over it, and GSAP will take care of doing it in a professional, smooth way. So you'll see this very often. Import tool. The one thing that you'll see very, very often is to say import Google Fonts. All right, because else if there's not fonts available, it means it will have to rely on the fonts that you hopefully have installed on your computer to find the fonts. But if you import the Google Fonts library, you'll have all the fonts to your or available to use. So you simply go and get the library, right? You can say, for instance, script source, where is this library? And then you simply import this library. So you basically drive to where it can be found, you take it and you use it. No problem with that. All right, so here's the great finale. There's much more to coding, you can imagine. You know what, if coding was this easy, anybody will be able to do it nearly from day one. There is a lot, but what we covered is the most basics. For instance, we can import a library, and normally and this is what you're going to do. Why do you want to know about libraries? Why is that important? So that you can tell AI things like that, like what is the best library and the most often professional used library for JavaScript Motion on graphical user interfaces. List out the 4 most often used ones with their benefits and their drawbacks. Then you'll get a library, and it will probably be something like GSAP, and you can simply say in your next project, always use GSAP when you create motion. Now, because there's 3 or 4 different libraries available, each one will have its own distinct feel, all right? And if you decide on one library, use it, right? And always use it. This becomes part of your signature. The way things are getting rendered, the way the cards move, all right? It becomes part of of your whole signature as a web developer. And you'll find that if you stay with the same libraries all the time, that helps building up that this is me, this is how my sites look like. It's also important then to play around with different libraries. So, tell AI to use a different library and see how a web page came out, how it looks like, how it behaves, and if you like it or not. Now back to this last image, and I think it's the last image. Not yet. The then one. Oh, okay. The second last image is you're going to use libraries all the time. But if you didn't know about libraries like you do now, you would not have thought about it. You would not have the ability to prompt AI correctly so that you can find nice libraries, and there are many, and then decide on one to use after you maybe played with 3 or 4 of them, and you simply play by saying, let's use this library, now let's use this library, and now let's use another library, and you can continue like that. So you have your decision making, which is if else. You have your recipes, things coming in on one side, comes out the other side. It's your functions. So it can be tests to perform. It can be many things. Validation of cards. Functions can be as simple as if somebody hoovers around or hover over a button or a card or an image, what should happen? That can all be placed into functions. And then the data itself that is stored in memory is called variables. And these 4 things together is the basics of coding. It's the very basics of coding. As you now know, there's much, much more to it. But for now, this is all you need to understand. Not too difficult, right? But where does this fit in with the conductor, with the architect? Well, it fits in that you need to be able to read the blueprints. And now you can. You can, for instance, look and say, what? GSAP, I hate GSAP. I don't want us to use GSAP. Let's use something else. Because you understand the library called GSAP. And in fact, you know there's 5 or 6 other models or libraries for this type of thing. So you will change your spec and say, please don't use GSAP, use ABC as an example. And that is then very much it for coding. There's not a lot more you need to know and understand about coding. What I would like you to do, though, is to go to a page that you've designed, a web page, and look inside that page and see if there's some things that you start to understand now. For instance, let's see what we can find. A constant scrolled. This is a variable, right? And it's a constant variable, and it equals window page x offset. In other words, where should the offset is, if you take a screen and you can divide it in little sections, you can say here on the screen to the left, to the right, to the top, and you can even do it in pixels. But let's see, there's an if statement. If entry is intersection, then do this if statement. There's another constant that gets built. There's the if else. I want to see what else is there that is of importance. But you know what? Go through it and see if there's some of this code you now actually do understand. And you'll find that some of the code, it will probably still be totally over your head, but you're going to start to find things that you now already understand that you didn't understand previously. All right, great. So that is it for coding. And as we continue, you will do a little bit more coding, learn a little bit more about coding as we progress. So that's coding for now. We're moving now over to graphical assets like icons, like stock images, and so forth. So I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.